Welcome to the fourth dimension, where some rules can be bent and others broken. The agents are trying to keep us parted, but we are like two trains on the same track destined to collide. Some will call this prophecy. Greetings to everyone around the realm. A month or so before we embarked on this multi-week journey across the continent, I was up late nights conversing through encrypted channels, attempting to pinpoint where exactly the Keymaster is held. Over the past year, observers have been sent across South America and Canada, but all that was found was burned out silos and abandoned houses. The Keymaster can travel via the doorways while we have to travel the old-fashioned way within time, at least for now. Well, one morning, early in the AM, a message appeared from the Keymaster. Wyoming, Tower, Mystery, a piece to the puzzle. Once the team decided to make a move, we sent observers from the Algorithmic Research Foundation a few days ahead of us to secure our travels across this vast land.
Algorithmic Research Foundation. Detect. Observe. Nullify.
We traveled over 1,000 miles to reach this location, stopping at minor vortices along the path and blessing the steps forward for future travelers. Always know that there are agents on these routes in the backcountry, so one should always have their wits tuned and focused. After many hours traveling through sacred and secular spaces, turning onto a winding road, we played a game of who can spot it first. One who was keenly observant beat me to it. "There it is," she said. A structure of immense proportions was seen from miles away, and the awe of something like this being observed in the flesh brought back memories, ancient memories, timeless and orderly. We had a mission while here. First, to stay alert for the Keymaster or a message encoded somewhere, anywhere. Second, to watch out for agents, because they are always about, and they know we are in search of the Keymaster, and for whatever reason, they tend to always hover around Pacific energetic storehouses such as this. Third, to explore this ancient monument and to bring to you, yes, you who are watching, to bring to you a mystery that we hope you will not only find interesting, but maybe, just maybe, it will lead all of us closer to the truth of what once was some time ago and inspire a journey of your own. There are three main stories that surround Devil's Tower, also known as Bear Mountain. We will explore all three. But first, why is it called Devil's Tower? The names we give to places do more than provide labels for a map. A name represents the meaning which a place holds to a person or group. It helps us to remember what a place is, who lives there, and why it is important. It identifies the significance of an area's history. The place we know as Devil's Tower was not always called by this name. American Indian tribes who lived in this region have their own names for the formation. The most commonly and widely used during the time of the United States exploration of the Black Hills, which was from 1855 to 1875, was Bear Lodge. Other English translations of names used by Native Americans include Greyhorn Butte, Tree Rock, and the place where bears live. Most maps from 1857 to 1901 mark this feature as Bear Lodge or Bear's Lodge, a translation from a common Lakota name for the Tower of Ototopila. The name change happened during this time period with information brought back by an expedition led by Colonel Richard Irving Dodge. His expedition sent a small contingent, including geologist and mapmaker Henry Newton, to study the tower. After Newton's group returned, Dodge wrote that the Indians call this place Bad God's Tower, a name adopted with proper modification, and so the label the Devil's Tower was created. No other records indicate that Native Americans associated this place with bad gods or evil spirits. It is suspected that a bad translation led the men to confuse the words for bear and bad god. Others feel Dodge deliberately changed the name of an important indigenous site. The first story is what scientists say. Devil's Tower rises above the surrounding grassland and ponderosa pine forests like a rocky sentinel. Geologists have studied the formation since the late 1800s and today still wonder how it formed. Although much of the tower's geologic story is agreed upon, theories differ on certain details. Protected in 1906 for its scientific value, Devil's Tower remains a place of scientific study and public wonderment. Geologists agree that Devil's Tower began as magma or molten rock buried beneath the Earth's surface. What they cannot agree upon are the processes by which the magma cooled to form the tower, or its relationship to the surrounding geology of the area. Numerous theories have been suggested to explain how Devil's Tower formed. Geologists Carpenter and Russell studied Devil's Tower in the late 1800s and concluded that the tower was formed by an forcible entry of magma through other rock layers. Later, geologists searched for more detailed explanations. The simplest explanation is that Devil's Tower is a stock of small, intrusive body formed by magma which cooled underground and was later exposed by erosion, which you can see in Figure 1. Other ideas have suggested that Devil's Tower is a volcanic plug or that it is the neck of an extinct volcano, which is in Figure 3. The limited evidence of volcanic activity, volcanic ash, lava flows, or volcanic debris in the area creates doubt that the tower was part of a volcanic system. In 2015, geologist Prokop Zaveda and his colleagues proposed their own hypothesis for the formation of the tower. The hypothesis suggests that the tower is the result of a Mar diatreme volcano, which is in Figure 4. These form when magma encounters groundwater beneath the Earth's surface. The superheated water becomes steam. The steam expands explosively, creating a crater on the surface. The crater fills with lava, which cools and solidifies into a dome structure. Erosion wears away portions of the dome to create the tower as we see it today. That was, again, what the scientists say. The second story is the Kiowa legend of Tsui, which is translated as a loft on a rock or tree rock. This is just one story of many, as many tribes have their own version of this story, or one that is entirely different. Before the Kiowa came south, they were camped on a stream in the far north where there were a great many bears, many of them. One day, 7 little girls were playing at a distance from the village and were chased by some bears. The girls ran toward the village and the bears were just about to catch them when the girls jumped on a low rock, about 3 feet high. When the girls prayed to the rock, "Rock, take pity on us. Rock, save us." The rock heard them and began to grow upwards, pushing the girls higher and higher. When the bears jumped to reach the girls, they scratched the rock, broke their claws, and fell on the ground. The rock rose higher and higher. The bears still jumped at the girls until they were pushed up into the sky, where they now are, 7 little stars in the group, which is the Pleiades. In the winter, in the middle of the night, the 7 stars are right over this high rock. When the people came to look, they found the bear's claws turned to stone all around the base. No Kiowa living has ever seen this rock, but the old men have told about it. It is very far north where the Kiowa used to live. It is a single rock with scratched sides. The marks of bears' claws are there yet. Rising straight up, very high. There is no other like it in the whole country. There are no trees on it, only grass on top. This was told by I See Many Campfire Places, Kiowa soldier at Fort Seal, Oklahoma, 1897. So that there was the Kiowa legend. So in a Native American story, again, there are many stories that have been told by different tribes and so forth. So now let's get into the third story. And this is what the people who have visited this monument have to say. As when it comes to science, part of science is not just experimentation, but observation. One person says here, stunning and unusual geology, which makes no sense and looks like an enormous tree stump. Another visitor said, the Devil's Tower was not a magma formation. Magma formation is a theory, not fact. If the Devil's Tower was magma, it must have been in a liquid state, and thus it had to be like half dome size of Yosemite. A half dome of Yosemite, but the Devil's Tower has a delicate plant trunk texture and even annual growth rings. People should not be brainwashed by a theoretical matrix or paradigm. The Devil's Tower was once a living plant, presumably 250 million years old. At that time, CO2 concentration was horrifically high, so the plant could grow up to 10,000 feet. Another person says, it is a giant tree stump. There is no way it has anything to do with a volcano. There is no sign of lava anywhere, but plenty of petrified bark and branches all over the site. The flood, as in the days of Noah, petrified the tree, and you are looking at a once tree. Once was tree, that is. Another visitor has stated, absolutely incredible. Another thing to check off the bucket list. I still can't get over how much it resembles a gargantuan tree stump. Another visitor, the whole park is stunning. Devil's Tower itself looks like a giant petrified tree stump. When I looked at it, like it had been a tree at one time, it makes the whole place seem otherworldly. Yet another person says, the Devil's Tower used to be a prehistoric giant tree stump according to new findings. The existent proposed theory, I'm not sure what they mean by that because that's a typo. So the current proposed theory that it was formed by underlying volcanic activity has never been confirmed nor infirmed. Okay, so I guess that person really meant confirmed. Okay, it is a theory accepted for lack of evidence. Yet another person says this is a prehistoric tree stump, maybe tree of life. And yet another says it is definitely an ancient tree stump. Stay woke. At this point, I'm sure you all are getting the point of what the people think. There were many more comments saying similar. Global metaphysical family. Why do we get story after story about stories, but not the truth? As if knowing the truth will somehow allow the secret of secrets to be known, when at one point all was known. It's not like this is a clan's secret mantras or the secret rituals of priests and priestesses high in the mountains. This is just the nature. Is it kept such a secret in the vaults of dark places? Because if you knew what this was, you would know where you are truly at. And if you knew where you are truly located, then you would know who they are who hide behind illusions. And if then you know who they are, you would know who you are in this story. Just a thought. But global family, please forgive me because I've been keeping something from you. And that is that there is a fourth story. It is a story just like any other, based a bit on similarities. So you will hear here first. In the third story, We've seen the many comments made by those who have visited Bear Mountain and seen how eerily similar it was to a tree stump. As you see on the screen now, footage we took of the tower and also of a tree stump on the trail that circled it. Is it similar? Yes? No? Comment below. Let us know. Well, there is also a story, a religious one, that also has some similarities to this tower. It is called the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel narrative in Genesis 11, 1 through 9, that's chapter 11, verses 1 through 9, is an origin myth meant to explain why the world's people speak different languages. According to the story, a united human race speaking a single language and migrating eastward comes to the land of Shinar. There, they agree to build a city and a tower with its top in the sky. Yahweh, observing their city and tower, confounds their speech so they can no longer understand each other and scatters them around the world. In Central America, there are various traditions similar to that of the Tower of Babel. Some writers who connected the Great Pyramid of Cholula to the Tower of Babel. The Dominican friar Diego Duran from 1537 to 1588 reported hearing an account by the pyramid from a 100-year-old priest at Cholula shortly after the conquest of Mexico. He wrote that he was told when the light of the sun first appeared upon the land, giants appeared and set off in search of the sun. Not finding it, they built a tower to reach the sky. An angered God of the heavens called upon the inhabitants of the sky, who destroyed the tower and scattered its inhabitants. The story was not related to either a flood or the confusion of languages, although Fraser connects its construction and scattering of the giants with the Tower of Babel. In Arizona, yet another story, attributed to the Tohono O'odham people, holds that Montezuma escaped a great flood, then became wicked and attempted to build a house reaching to heaven, but the Great Spirit destroyed it with thunderbolts. Interesting stories, is it not? Is it just a story, or maybe something more? What would you call a tower built by or grown, influenced by people who have been either influenced or are the direct descendants of the so-called devil's seed or Cain's seed? Would you call a tower that was influenced or created by them the devil's tower? Archaeologists haven't identified with certainty a particular structure as the Tower of Babel. A few potential structures have been put forth, including one that a tablet states was built by Nebuchadnezzar II, which wouldn't fit with the biblical timeline indicated by Nimrod. Others have suggested it to be the Babylonian temple of Marduk. Yet other theories postulate it may have been torn down by Alexander the Great. Well, regardless of where these ruins of the so-called Tower of Babel may be, the echoes of Babel's sins still resonate in our human consciousness. Today, do we build monuments and legacies, hoping to make a name for ourselves? Do we focus on what others will think of us? Doing it all for the gram? World star! Rather than doing what is in alignment with the universal creator for self and for humanity's sake? With that being said, it frustrated some of the team a bit that the Keymaster is so cryptic with his messages, even though it is completely understood why this is the case. After decrypting the latest message, it stated, "Look for me at the pyramid within a lake." Now, this was quite a coincidence, as we did a podcast a while ago called The Water Babies at Pyramid Lake. I'm sure many of you remember this podcast, and you should see it on the screen now. Well, observers have been sent to secure the scene ahead of our arrival, and we will be gathering the wisdom from this ancient source. Until we speak again, enjoy a few moments of meditation on Bear Mountain with us at that time. Also, before I forget, note that in the description below, if you want to join us on a search for the Keymaster next year in 2023, click on the link below in the description. It'll take you to the website where you can join the wait list and be notified when the next journey is announced. Take care.